Welcome back to another episode of Simply Medicare. I'm your host, Debbie Stroup, your Michigan Medicare specialist. And I'm really excited today to bring a guest. His name is Kyle, and he is from HAP, which is an affordable health insurance plan that offers health insurance for individuals, families, employer groups, Medicaid, and Medicare. What I want to focus today on, Kyle, is Medicare. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Really looking forward to this.
Thank you. We're excited to have you here. So before we start talking about Medicare, I want to hear a little bit about you. So can you tell me a little bit about you?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So my name is Kyle Ingraham. I am the lead Medicare consultant here at Health Alliance Plan, or HAP, as we're also known in the market. I've been in the insurance industry as a whole, going on 12 years now. I've done everything from, the property and casualty side of the business and being an agent, life insurance, health insurance, and Medicare. And then I made the move to the carrier side about 3 years ago. Really enjoy working with agents such as yourself and others in the market on educating on the Medicare products, how that is able to work out for our members in the state. Personally, I am married to my wonderful wife, Molly. We have 2 little girls, Bridget and Claire. So they keep us very, very busy. They're 3 and 4.5. So that keeps us going. Caught me on kind of a somber day, though. I'm a diehard Buffalo Bills fan, and we did not fare so well in the playoffs last night. Yeah, it was a sad day, but getting to work on Medicare, picks me right back up the next day.
Yeah.
Outside of that, just love being in Michigan. I'm originally from Western New York, so it's nice being a little bit less of a crazy area and getting to enjoy the nice summers here, especially out on the lake where we live, and get some golf in as well.
So let me ask you a question about New York. So you're from New York, and I know sometimes those of us in the Midwest, when we hear New York, we think of that traditional New York accent. You don't have that. How come?
No. So the biggest part of New York doesn't have that accent. That is the downstate New York City accent. The rest of the state, the Buffaloes, Rochester, where I'm from, Syracuse, we all speak and kind of sound like we're from Michigan. We get just as much snow, just people are much more friendly here overall.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you're enjoying your time in Michigan. So is it true that Buffalo gets a gajillion pounds and feet of snow every year? I mean, I was seeing things on the internet where folks were opening up their garage door and it was just like solid snow. Is that how it is?
Not all the time. This has been kind of a weird year, but definitely lake effect is a real thing when it's coming off of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie all at once. 4 feet of snow in a weekend is an oddity, but definitely not strange to get a foot or 2 on a weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of an oddity here. So we're really, really glad that you're here, and I hope Michigan is your home for a very long period of time, because you're a terrific individual. So tell me a little bit about what is your role at HAP? And before you start that, can you explain a little bit about what is HAP? I know a lot of people here in Southeastern Michigan have heard of it, but there could be folks around the state that have not heard of it, and they may not exactly know what is HAP and who is HAP.
Yeah. So HAP has been around for over 60 years. We're a health insurance company all the way from individual under 65, Medicare, and also group insurance for both small and large groups. The biggest thing about us is that we're made in Michigan for Michigan. So I think 99% of our employees live, work, and play right here in the state of Michigan. So obviously we're very well known in the southeast side of the state from our ties with Henry Ford, but also we are expanding all across the state, bringing on new networks, and really trying to break away from that idea that HAP is just Henry Ford. We have a huge network and really enjoy working with people all across the state and helping them with their health insurance.
Yeah, that is definitely something that I have heard, is HAP is just a Henry Ford thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think back in the day that could have been where it is, but HAP has now kind of opened the doors and now has a welcoming relationship with most, if not all, of the hospitals here in Michigan, including U of M, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep, absolutely. So we have a wide network. We have U of M, Spectrum on the west side of the state, which everybody on that side in Grand Rapids knows them very well. McLaren through the center of the state. So we are an ever-growing network, which is super exciting because we get to work with more and more areas and different individuals. But I also wanted to add in, we are a nonprofit organization. So it does mean everything we're doing, all the decisions we're making is really trying to benefit the members in the state, not just trying to do the best thing for the bottom line or the profit. Everything that we're doing as we design plans and put things together is really towards putting it all back into our members.
And what do you mean by that, putting that back in for their members? Can you cite an example or help us to understand what does that mean?
Yeah, and I would say for specific examples, people should really talk to their local agent that are able to walk through those plan by plan and next to each other. But what it means is that we don't have to worry about Wall Street, right? We don't have to worry about putting certain dividends on the market and getting return for our investors. We're using all of those funds to put them back into our plan design. So can we lower co-pays? Can we lower maximum out of pocket? Can we add more supplemental benefits? That's what we're trying to do with that.
And I've talked to so many people that out-of-pocket expense is really important because so many folks are living on a fixed income now, and they might just have Social Security coming in. So, those co-pays can be a real stretch for folks. So lowering the copay sounds wonderful. Anytime you can drop that copay, it would be a real benefit, I think, to folks. So you were also talking about some other things. When I'm talking to folks, they seem to think that a lot of these other benefits are really important. They want a gym membership, or they want a vision benefit and a hearing benefit. Is that something that HAP offers folks?
Absolutely. And again, I can only speak towards our Medicare plans because I'm not an expert on our group and commercial, but I can say that our plans have those supplemental benefits into it. We know that's something that members want to be able to utilize through the Medicare plan. They're used to having that maybe in a group insurance, having the dental, vision, hearing, all those things included. So it's definitely something that we wrap into most of our Medicare Advantage plans.
Yeah, I've heard that's really important. A lot of folks want that. And why is Medicare so confusing? I mean, I'm going along in my life and I'm working, and it should just be a super easy transition. I'm going from under age 65 health insurance, and now I'm going into Medicare. It should be easy. Why is it so confusing? I don't understand this. How come I don't even go to Medicare to enroll for Medicare? I go to Social Security. How am I supposed to know that? It just seems like the whole world with Medicare is so confusing.
Yes. And, I'd like to look at it as it shouldn't be, right? Because for a lot of people, they're coming off of group insurance plans. So the way I like to look at it, especially Medicare Advantage now, is the way that the policies have kind of evolved over the years, is it really looks a lot like you're leaving your group health insurance plan. There's HMOs, there are PPOs, there could be networks that you have to stay in or not, depending on what type of plan you're on. But it also has some of those supplemental benefits that members are used to having involved in their group plans that they never realized were a separate policy or something else. It felt like it was all bundled together. That's really what Medicare Advantage does. It bundles all those things together. But speaking about how confusing it can be because it is a change in insurance, they've had an HR department picking out these plans for them in the past. They may not have even had an option. This is the health insurance you're going on. That's where I highlight it is so important to work with a local agent that is able to not just put you in the right plan for you, but be able to educate you and explain why that's the plan that you're going on to, how that plan works, making sure your doctors are in network with it. Kind of look at your independent agent is almost like your HR professional from your old business, right? they're the ones that are going to be able to explain how the plan works, how it functions for the members. So that's where it's super important, is just finding that right local agent to be able to help you out with that.
Right. And so, talking about plans, folks are so confused and so overwhelmed. They've got a pile like this sitting on their kitchen table of junk mail, and you may know this. It all looks official. It all looks like it's coming from Medicare or Social Security. Respond now. You're going to lose out on benefits. Or they're getting bombarded by phone calls, or everybody's yapping in their ear about this plan, that plan, don't use this plan. And they're like spinning in a circle going, what am I supposed to do? Which plan am I supposed to pick? I didn't even know there were all of these plans to pick. So it can be very confusing. Why is working with someone, why is it really important? Why can't I just rely on a solicitor calling me, or more importantly, why can't I just rely on what my doctor tells me to do, or my neighbor, or my best friend across the street? Why is it important to work with somebody?
Yeah, so 2 points I want to make on what you just said, and very, very true that you do need to work with somebody. But one, I cannot stress enough, Medicare is never going to send you a postcard and say, you're going to lose these benefits if you don't enroll. They're never going to call you and ask you for your Medicare number because they want to make sure it's correct. Those things aren't going to happen. That's a third-party company just trying to get you to enroll into their plans, and sometimes they use deceptive tactics. Best thing to do is work with somebody in your area that understands the local plans, because there's not just the big nationals that contract with a lot of these places. There's local companies, and that's going to change state by state. And honestly, obviously I work for a local regional carrier, but I do believe that we function as a whole, especially here in Michigan, a lot more for our members. And we work so closely with our agents out there who are able to educate on all those different options out there. The other thing is, why not just take the plan that your neighbor, your doctor, or somebody else has? Medicare Advantage is not one size fits all. Everybody's on different prescriptions. Everybody has different things going on, and they need to pick the plan that's best for them individually. It's not even always the same plan in the same household. A husband and wife could have very different, or spouses, brother and sister that are living together, whatever it may be, can have very different medical issues going on that a different plan is going to fit them better than another. So it may both be with the same carrier, just different plans. It could be with two different carriers depending on what's going on. But the important thing is working with a local agent who's able to identify what's going on with each one of you individually and talk to you about the plans that fit your medical situation as they feel does best.
So how can a husband and a wife be on different plans? Are you saying like maybe they might, this wife might have 3 doctors and 2 prescriptions, but husband, maybe he sees the same doctors, but he's got an orthopedic surgeon and he's got maybe just 2 more prescriptions. I mean, not a big deal. How come they can't be on the same plan? Why not? Why not? Wouldn't that just be easier if they both were on the same plan?
Sure. I mean, it would be easier in terms of knowing what company to call or what the name of their health insurance company is. But you have to understand, different companies are going to have different networks of providers. We're going to have different formularies, meaning prescription drugs can be covered differently from one plan to another with different carriers. So you really want to make sure you could be on one drug that's covered by one company very, very well for low cost. And then the next company that your spouse is on, that could be a very high cost drug for them, or they don't cover it at all. So that's why it's so important to sit down with somebody, whether it's over the phone virtually like this or in person, to actually sit down and say, this is my situation. What plan is going to have all my prescriptions in it? Which plan is going to have my providers in it? And which plan is going to meet my travel needs as well, too, right? Because that could be different things that happen across different companies. So it's kind of all those things together. And I can't say enough how much I look at it as like working with local business, right? I try to do as much as I can with local business, small business owners here locally. It's the same way with an independent agent, because you know what? Those agents know your area. They know the carriers like the back of their hands. They know what's going on and where that best fit's going to be.
Let me ask you a question. Are your customer service, because I hear this a lot, are your customer service people, are they in the United States or in Michigan? Because I've heard, some people will be talking that not they love to have people here in Michigan locally. So I was wondering, does HAP offer that?
Yes. So one of the biggest things that I mentioned earlier, 99% of our employees are right here in Michigan. We definitely have had some employees that realized during COVID, especially, that they could do their job from a warmer climate. I can't say I disagree with them, but it is very important for us for customer service to be the #1 focus and to make sure that, they are talking to somebody from the same area as them. That is very important because, people talk at different paces, different accents, whatever it may be, as you go across, even across the country. You may talk to somebody from my former state, very fast paced, they talk very quickly, or you could talk to somebody from another state that moves a little bit slower. So we find it best that customer service is happening right where the members actually are.
Another thing I've heard, what about your mail order prescription? Is it filled and shipped right here in Michigan, or is it out of the country? I know some folks are a little bit concerned about getting their medication from Canada or from Mexico. Can you tell us a little bit about how HAP does that?
So we do use a preferred mail order pharmacy. Again, I can't get into specifics just because of some CMS regulations, but I can tell you our preferred mail order pharmacy is housed right here in Southeast Michigan.
That's great.
So it's not coming from across the country, it's being done right here locally.
Okay, good. So that's good. I mean, so your customer service is right here in Michigan for the most part. Everything is filled and shipped right here within Michigan for the pharmacy products. That's really good to know. Can you help us to understand how does it work a little bit if I'm going to travel? I might like HAP and it's great, but I want to go to Hawaii, or I want to go on an Alaskan cruise. How can I take HAP with me for that?
Yeah, and again, I can't get into specific plan benefits today because CMS has certain regulations when it comes to that. But what I can say is that there are plans, depending on the member's situation of how they travel, what they like to do, where we're going to have something for everybody depending on what type of plan they're on. If they go to warmer climate for the winter time, we have plans that fit that type of opportunity. If they are RVing and travel across the country and they're really not seeing a provider as much as emergency or urgent cares, we have an option on all of our plans for that as well. So the plans are very portable. It's very competitive in the market these days with allowing that. It's just whether or not it's a network you have to stay within when you go out of state, or if it's any Medicare provider. And again, that's something that the local agent would be able to work with members on, depending on their exact situation.
Yeah, so it's really important that they work with somebody, because if they want to do something with HAP and they travel, so that might be something really important to talk to somebody about. So yeah, so it's good to know that it's out there, it's for them. If they travel, that might be good. We've touched on customer service, we've touched on the pharmacy, because I think when I'm out there talking with folks, these are really important items for them. They want to make sure that their doctors are in plan. They want to make sure their prescriptions are in plan. And they're traveling now. I mean, with COVID, they were shut down and now they're traveling. They want to go see their kids and their grandchildren. They want to go on those cruises. And so they want to try and understand what their flexibility is. And so I think that you were able to give us a lot of information to help us understand what HAP was all about and what is all about, and to have us get a better understanding of that. One last question I wanted to ask you is, and I hear this a lot, that people are getting bombarded by solicitors calling them all the time. They're making it sound like it's urgent and whatever. What can we do to protect ourselves from, whether it's a phone solicitor or junk mail? How can we protect ourselves?
Yeah. So, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it's definitely an issue that we're seeing all across the market nationwide, is the phone solicitations. I mean, I myself, I'm not near Medicare age yet, but I get a few phone calls a day I think somebody likes to give me a hard time. I put my name on some lists. I don't know, but the biggest thing is that I just want everyone to know Medicare is not going to call you. You are not all of a sudden eligible for crazy benefits that you were never eligible for before. My suggestion is when you get these phone calls, if you pick up the phone, is to just say, I have someone, no thank you, and hang up the phone. If you're worried, if it's something from the carrier, they say they're calling from their health insurance carrier. If you're not sure, if you don't feel confident that that's who it is, hang up, call your agent. They're going to get a hold of somebody like myself. And I'm going to be able to let them know, yes, that is from us. No, it's not. We'll check the phone numbers and make sure that's correct. Because there are some calls that happen when you join a new carrier that does come from them. So it could be your welcome phone call. It could be a health risk assessment. It could be a myriad of things, but they're typically not going to start right off the bat by asking you for your MBI number or asking if you qualify for something. So really, the biggest thing I can say is when it comes to a random phone call coming in, be skeptical. Hang up, call your agent.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to be able to help you.
I agree. My mom just got a text over the weekend that her debit card had been frozen. And so to call this number. So she called me and I was thinking, that's odd. And so we looked at it and I said, you know what, let's call your bank and see. We never send out text. So just that quickly, she could have been caught up in something that would have been undesirable. So thank you for sharing that information about the solicitors, because we don't want to be rude, but really we kind of need to be rude. It sounds like a little bit. Just hang up on them and tell them that you're working with someone. You don't want to get switched into a plan that's not a good fit for you. I've talked to numerous people where they have switched and then they go to their doctor and their doctor's like, I don't accept that plan. And it's very confusing and overwhelming. So thank you for sharing some insight on that and how we can help to protect ourselves. So thank you so much, Kyle, for joining us today. I know you're super busy, but I wanted to be able to help folks understand what HAP is, and because it's local, and how can we get a better understanding of who you are and what HAP does. And so thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And sorry about the Buffalo Bills. I'm bummed out for you on that. I know they've had their challenges over the last month or so, so I was rooting for them for you. So maybe next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, as a Bills fan, that's our motto. There's always next year. And no, thank you so much for having me today. This was great. I had a lot of fun.
And that's another edition of Simply Medicare with Debbie Straub. Looking forward to chatting with you soon. If you've enjoyed this edition of Simply Medicare podcast and you don't want to miss any future episodes, please make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Please also leave comments and offer feedback so we can make this podcast the best it can be for you. If you need assistance with your Medicare sign-up or you just have general Medicare questions, make sure to reach out to me at 248-227-0347. You can also reach me online at MichiganMedicareSpecialist.com or through my email at Debbie@MichiganMedicareSpecialist.com. I really look forward to working with you soon.